Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Strengthen English. I hope that now you started speaking in English, but still I have a question. Do you speak English? Yes, very good. Dear students, now let us go to learn English. To learn English in a very effective manner, Strengthen English will help you. So therefore, learn English and earn knowledge because English is for life. The objective of this channel, Strengthen English, it is merely our sincere efforts to create a virtual platform for effective learning among the students across the globe to acquire adequate knowledge in the English language, since the proficiency in English is a must in all walks of students' life. So keeping in this mind, we have created this channel that is Strengthen English. So therefore, I request you all, I invite you all to subscribe this channel and then you promote this channel to all of your friends, relatives, family members, teachers, students to create a global platform for learning. Thank you, students. Now we proceed. Dear students, today we are going to learn simple present tense. You have previously studied the usage of simple present tense in your schools or the study centers. That is, simple present tense is usually used to express the daily routine or the habitual action, the proverbs, the arranged timetable, etc. So here in intermediate, we are going to apply our grammatical knowledge in the situation which we are facing. So therefore, intermediate learning will help you to put yourself to learn and apply your grammatical knowledge in the situation. So first we have the example here. Study this example situation. Alex is a bus driver, but now he is in bed asleep. He is not driving a bus. He is asleep. But he drives a bus. He is a bus driver. The same time, you also need to understand the verb is given, drive, work, do. If you are using these verbs with the pronouns he, she, it, you need to add as in the end of the verb. Then it will become he drives, she works, he does, etc. in the simple present tense. So here you will understand structurally, if the pronouns are given I, we, you, they, then you can use the verb as it is. I drive, we work, we drive, you do, you drive, they work, they drive, etc. But whereas when we use the same verbs with the pronouns he, she, it, then we need to add s in the end of the verbs, or at times we need to add es, which you have already studied in your schools or study centers about where to use s, where to use es, etc. The same time, remember that you need to add s in the end of the verb only in simple present tense for the pronoun he, she, it. Okay, for the pronouns he, she, it. Now let us proceed. We use the present simple to talk about things in general. We use it to say that something happens all the time or repeatedly, or that something is true in general. For example, nurses look after patients in hospitals. I usually go away at weekends. The earth goes round the sun. The cafe opens at 7:30 in the morning. So here what happens, it can be daily routine or it can be habitual action, etc. Remember, I work, but he works. They teach, but my sister teaches. Students, here we are going to learn how to make questions and how to write negative sentences. We use do or does to make questions and negative sentences. For example, here you can see there are two tables. The first table you have questions, the second table you have negative sentences. First, you need to understand structurally how they have been written. That is very important. Structural identification is very important to understand grammar. Okay. So first thing you see here, questions, how to make questions. First we write the auxiliary verb, second we write the pronoun, third we write the verb. Or you can say first we write the auxiliary verb, second we write the subject, then followed by the verb. Do I work? Do we work? Do you work? Do they work? Whereas when you use he, she, it, when we can say does he drive? Does he do? Does it do? Etc. Now we can say the negative sentences. How to make negative sentences? I don't work. We don't work. You don't work. They don't work. We use don't only for the pronouns I, we, you, they. Whereas he, she, it, we use does. In negative sentences, we use doesn't. He doesn't work, she doesn't drive, it doesn't do. Now we have few examples. I come from Canada. Where do you come from? I don't go away very often. What does this word mean? Rice doesn't grow in cold climates. Okay, now you can understand how these sentences were made with the help of these verbs. Now let us proceed. In the following examples, do is also the main verb. It is not merely used as an auxiliary verb, or we can say helping verb. Do is also the main verb. For that we have example. What do you want? I work in a shop. He is always so lazy. He doesn't do anything to help. Students, here we are going to see we use the simple present tense to say how often we do things. I get up at 8 o'clock every morning. How often do you go to the dentist? Julie doesn't drink tea very often. Robert usually goes away 2 or 3 times a year. So here these sentences depict that how often we do things. Next we go, I promise, I apologize. Sometimes we do things by saying something. For example, when you promise to do something, you can say I promise. When you suggest something, you can say I suggest. For example, I promise I won't be late. What do you suggest? What do you suggest I do? I suggest that you, whatever you would like to write. At the same time, you can keep these words in your mind. Now to write the present tense. Not only you have I promise or I apologize, you also can keep in mind I advise, I insist, I agree, I refuse, etc. Now students, it is time for exercise. Are you ready now? Students, here you have exercises. You can read the instruction very clearly. Accordingly, you can answer these questions. The first one, complete the sentences using the following verbs. The verbs are given there. You can make use of these verbs and you need to read the sentences, and you think that where these verbs can be appropriate, you should write appropriate verb in the appropriate place. Okay, for example, and dash German very well. So here, what appropriate verb will be fitting into the context? So you can see then you have picked up speak because it is talking about a language, and speaks German very well. The same way you need to see, you need to read the sentence, understand the sentence, and then which word, which verb you can write appropriately in the appropriate place, that those verbs only you need to pick up, and then you need to write grammatically correct. Students, here we have 2.2, put the verb into the correct form. Here you have sentences. Each sentence has a verb. You can see each sentence has a verb. So you need to understand the sentence properly. Accordingly, you need to give the answer. For example, you see first sentence, Jane dash not drink tea very often. So first we need to understand Jane. Jane means what? The pronoun is she. So for she, we need to use the auxiliary verb, that is does. Already not is given, so therefore Jane doesn't drink tea very often. The same manner only you need to complete the other sentences as well. You need to see the appropriate usage of verb in the appropriate sentence. Students, here we have exercise 2.3. Use the following verbs to complete the sentences. Sometimes you need the negative. So here you are given the verbs. You need to make use of the appropriate verb, the appropriate sentences. For example, first one. The earth dash round the sun. So you need to pick up what verb will be fitting into the context. That verb only you need to pick up. And accordingly, you need to apply the grammatical knowledge. The earth goes round the sun. Second one, rice dash in Britain. Rice doesn't grow in Britain. The same way you need to complete the other exercises as well. Students, here we have come to 2.4. You ask Liz questions about herself and her family. Write the questions. So here you have given the context. Here you have given the situation. According to the situation, what you need to write, that is what you need to write. Okay, this will improve your application of grammatical knowledge in the appropriate situation. Students, here we have come to 2.5. Complete using the following. I apologize, I insist, I promise, I recommend, I suggest. So these are given. You need to see that where these noun as well as the verb, or we can say the pronoun as well as the verb fitting into this context, accordingly you need to write. For example, it's a nice day, I suggest we go out for a walk. The same way you need to see that where it will be fitting, where it will be appropriately can be written, there you need to write. Students, I believe that you have done with your exercise. It's time for checking your answers. Now let's go. Students, here you have got the answer key. Now you can check up. Now you can check all your answers. I firmly believe that you all have written well. At times, let us not forget, mistakes bound to happen in life. It is to understand that we are yet to learn. So therefore, whatever mistakes have been done, you need to rectify it. So therefore, there is always a possibility for growth. So students, it's all about the future. Thank you students, thank you for learning. I request you all to forward this lesson to your friends, family members, students, relatives, the student those who are really in need of learning. So therefore you can understand very clearly, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. You can create a great fortune to everyone. Thank you students. God bless all.